All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection Network meeting. Last one of the year. I'm sure some people are already on their holiday PTO, but thank you all for joining us and being here today. Want to start like we always do with introductions. So if you'd like to drop your name, your organization, if you're here as part of an organization, and for our icebreaker today, share a fun holiday tradition. So if you'd like to drop those in the chat, I'll give everyone some time to do that. One of my favorite holiday traditions is the day after Thanksgiving, so on Black Friday, I get my Christmas tree out of the basement. We do a fake one here, and then I put on the Grinch and decorate the Christmas tree. So that's something I always enjoy around the holidays. Stacey Sammy, learning about celebrations around the world. I love that. Making tamales. Go to Christmas Lane in Kenosha on Christmas Eve. I'm guessing that's maybe a light show. Correct me if I'm wrong, Haley. Watching A Christmas Story at least 2 times. Yep. Open Christmas gifts while eating appetizers. That sounds awesome. Touring the lights. Making your grandma's Italian recipes for Christmas Eve. Ooh, that sounds really good. Local light show, making Christmas cookies with your granddaughter, watching every Christmas movie, no matter how silly. I love the, very stereotypical Hallmark movies that always know how you always know how they're gonna end. Dress up like Santa and take selfies with their phones. Love that. Grab bag with wrap gifts that can be traded, making cookies with daughters and granddaughter. Love that as well. That's always fun to spend time with people, family, friends, loved ones around the holidays, and hopefully have some downtime as well. So thanks everyone for sharing those in the chat. Really excited to share today a little bit about, what we all accomplished in 2024. We do have a guest speaker that we'll kick off with Opportunity Development Center, as well as go through some coalition updates, talk about everything that's happened in the past year because somehow it's already December and moving into 2025 soon. And then we'll have some opportunity for some large group discussion towards the end and wrap up for the year. I'm going to welcome Anna and Sammy from Opportunity Development Centers, or ODC, and they will be talking about their community connections and Better Together programs. So Anna and Sammy, I will let you take it from here.
Thanks, Suzanne. You can go to the next slide, please. I'm Anna Morehouse, the lead community connector and peer mentor coordinator at Opportunity Development Center, and I'm joined with Sammy Szynski. She is a community life developer and leading the Better Together program. As many of you know, ODC primarily serves those with disabilities, but of course, not all disabilities are visible. We are also fostering relationships that makes communities stronger as a whole. Today, Sammy and I will be introducing two different yet complementary avenues of connection. Next slide, please. So here are the members of our team. Myself and Sammy are leading both of these programs, as I mentioned. We also have Liz Foles, who is a community connector and exploring connections through the use of adaptive recreation. Kate Norby, she's the Director of Development, and then Julie Stren, ODC President and CEO. Next slide, please. So I just want to give Sammy a shout out for making this nice flow chart. Sometimes we get a little bit confused as both of our programs are a little bit innovative and traditional day services and a way of connection. So we're actually out in community, meeting with people one-on-one and helping them get connected to either people or places or things that they really consider to be meaningful in their life. So this flow chart kind of helps describe and have a visual of what each of these opportunities present. So community connections is there. I'll start with that. So again, helping people find meaningful activities. A lot of times that might mean going to a church or starting a new volunteer opportunity. And sometimes that can be intimidating for people, especially when they're not used to being in community on their own. So we meet with people one-on-one and really start to explore where they want to get connected in the community. And there's Better Together, so they match friends who have common interest. There's also monthly sponsored events that the matches of friends get to meet up and have a fun time and meet other friends there as well. And I just want to give a brief on peer mentoring, even though we're not highlighting that right now. It is a pilot through the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities, and that matches individuals with a person with lived experience, and it really focuses on self-advocacy and individualized goals. So there is sometimes work with community connection with that as well. Next slide, please. So why connections matter? I don't think I need to preach to the choir. I mean, we are here for that exact reason, for helping grow connections in one way or another. But just to briefly mention how the quality of our connections are tied to our social determinants of health, and our relationships and interactions with family and friends and coworkers and the community members can have a major impact on our health and well-being. So that is really one of the goals that we have too. We might not see it right away, how connections or making new friends can really impact a person as a whole, but in the long run, it will help their overall health and well-being, especially their mental health. Next slide, please. So I'll go into a little bit further with community connections. Our foundation is built on the ABCD, or Asset-Based Community Development, from ABCD Institute out of DePaul University in Chicago. So as I mentioned earlier, community connections is really based on an individual's gifts and their passions and their interest and how they would like to be connected to community. So what that looks like is a connector meets with the individual one-on-one. We like to build a good, trusting rapport with them and start really digging into and learning what their strengths are, and then start exploring the community together. At the same time, not only are we meeting with people one-on-one, but the connectors are out in the community and building and fostering relationships within the community and the different assets. And I'll go into the assets a little bit further in the presentation. Next slide, please. So the gifts. So some of you, again, may be familiar with this concept. So we all have gifts of the hand, what we can make or create or fix. Gifts of the head. What do we know? Or what are we interested in learning? And we also have gifts of the heart. What do we care about? What do we love? Each one of us, again, is individualized and in the gifts that we have. And everyone really does have a place in community, and we want to tie those gifts to the community. Next slide, please. So this is a slide of the assets. So there's 6 different types of assets within any given community. And they are individuals, associations, physical assets, institutions, local economy, and culture or stories. And there's quite a few examples there. I won't go into all of them, but some of the assets that we've really been able to hone in on and get people connected, a lot of them actually are churches, which you would think are hospitable places. But if a person is looking to grow in their spirituality or their faith, we've been able to accompany and help support connections at churches. Another good opportunity is volunteering. So giving back and having a meaningful connection in the community may look like volunteering for some people. whether that's at the Humane Society or a food pantry. It can really vary, again, place to place and what's in a given community. Some people have really like going to the Y also, so water aerobic is a good example. And we're going in there just with the individual, so we're not going in as a large group where we're, causing people to look at us or anything. We're really just going in as community members looking to join a class or explore what is available. And then there's also like local groups such as knitting clubs or artist meetups that have been a good hit for us as well. And I just want to share one story that might help kind of understand the process a little bit better too. So Patty is an individual that I worked with, and Patty was a member of a church that had recently moved to another community. She lives in Wisconsin Rapids, but the church actually moved to Amherst, so it was too far for her to commute to. So really, after learning more about what was important to Patty and the church, we started to explore a church that was local to Patty, and just started showing up at the Sunday services and building those sustainable relationships at the church, and making sure proper supports are in place as well. One of our goals as a community connector is to eventually phase back. So if a person isn't completely independent on their own in community, we do make sure there will be proper supports in place. So Patty was able to continue going to church and truly enjoys her time there and getting to know the people and feeling like a place to call home and feeling welcomed within her own community. So again, that's really just a brief introduction to community connection, but now I'll turn it over to Sammy. Next slide, please.
Before I start, I want to give a shout out to Anna in front of all of you because the work that she's done and how she's led the team, this was something brand new. And I don't get to always be in places at the same time as Anna because we're always split up. So you just did a great job and exciting to see what's to come. Better Together started in the 80s. Well, you're welcome. Better Together started in the 80s and 90s by John and Patty O'Keefe. They wanted to bring friendship to central Wisconsin because that's how you put valor in somebody's life. You give purpose and meaning, and friendship is so, so powerful. When we match people in this program, we talk about how friendship is so much more, especially to the individuals we support, because we're providing a friendship, somebody who's not a parent, who's not a caregiver, who's not a paid support person. It's a true friend. It was called Community Partners when it started out. And now that it came under ODC post-COVID, it changed names to Better Together. We started in Portage County, and now we're expanding to other ODC areas, starting with our two other larger areas in Rapids and Marshfield.
Sorry, guys, my internet is very slow. Apparently, it's staying there.
Teaching me patience. I always need to be taught more patience, right, Anna? Who gets to be in Better Together? We match adults with disabilities and volunteers from the community on similar interests. So I just paired a gentleman last week who is retired and loves to get together during the day. He loves to be active and he loves to be healthy. It took a long time to find a good fit match for him because it had to be somebody who was also retired and available during the day. Also to somebody who doesn't want to go out to eat, somebody who wants to be active with their friends. So it took a long time to match him, but now they're matched, and the first thing they get to do is go for a hike together. And that's really what they're looking forward to, is just being active in nature. You'll see some examples in the photos. Some of our friends love to do art together, or just go places and try new things. What do you need to have to be a friend and Better Together? Just a willingness to be a friend and to have a friend. For example, we have Bob, who is someone who's looking to go for walks or bike rides with. He also likes to go out for coffee and talk about animals. Gabby is looking for someone to talk to do crafts with, watch movies, and listen to music. I am sure that there are plenty of you in this presentation who are like, yeah, I like to do those things. It's pretty great that you just get to do life with your friends. In the pictures here, you'll see there are two groups of friends. They met at our monthly activities and have decided to hang out on their own too. They went to the Iola Car Show and they went bowling. Recently, they went X throwing together. So how do we match them? Kind of like dating, right? I get to know the individual with a disability, and then I get to know all of the volunteers. And when I meet a volunteer, I match up what similar interests they have. And then we conduct a first friends meeting, which is where we get together and just talk about all the things that they have in common, what they like to do together, when they are available. And then I type up all the information during the meeting. You know, like when you meet somebody for the first time, you're like, how am I going to remember everything? Thank you. We type everything up so that way they have all of the information at the end of the meeting to recall what they want to do together. We're trying to get away from calling this a volunteer experience because when you hear volunteer, you think, oh, okay, I don't have time, right? You think I don't have time. I'm to the max with my capacity, but this is different. So we're calling it friendship. Sign up to be a friend. You get together twice a month around your unique schedule. So it's never a monotonous thing like Tuesdays at 2, every Tuesday at 2, because then you kind of get sick of doing things at Tuesday at 2. It's fun and flexible, and you can do it in a big group or in just the two of you. Say it's a nice day, you want to go grab some ice cream, or a new movie's playing, or there's a show in the park. To do fun things that are happening in your community together. So I know some people love statistics, and that's kind of what helps our world go around in our life, right? We need statistics. So at the end of our 2023 survey, 100% of friends reported that their Better Together friend makes them feel happy, that they've made at least one new friend, and that they've made more than one new friend in Better Together. 100% of friends reported they feel more involved in their community. And then 92 reported that they have a more positive mental health. That has a lot to do with our monthly activities. We get together every month and be out in the community. We go to a concert, also working with local businesses to sponsor a hostess. Delta Dental of Wisconsin did a bingo night for us, which everybody still talks about. Century sponsored curling. And last month, the Elks Lodge sponsored a meal and karaoke, which my face hurt for days after. It was so much fun, so much smiling and laughing. So we get to do a lot of fun things together. All right, technology. We have a video. And so if you click on the picture or the link, it should work.
Bear with me. Let's see, let me copy and paste. Sammy, do you have this video up on your screen by chance? Or Anna?
No, but I can real quick.
I'm just thinking with my slow internet, it might be a little bit better if you share instead.
All right, do I have the ability to share or do I need to ask?
I know.
I can see it. Can you?
Yes.
Okay, now here's hoping the sound works. Ready?
don't hear anything. You might have to stop share and then there's a button.
Are you telling me you can't hear it?
Yeah. Yep. So you might have to stop share and then reshare, and then there should be something that you click when it pops up to reshare. That says share sound.
Mhm. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Better Together is a friendship program where we match adults with disabilities to people in the community to form friendships and hang out and bring inclusion to our community.
Better Together is a program that matches people that want to spend time together and enjoy being together.
Yeah, it's a way to make new friends.
It's good to be with friends and go out.
I just think it's fun.
We all need companionship, we all need friendship, we all need to feel accepted. We recognize that and we make friendships just like we would with anyone.
Better Together starts out as a friendship that we support, but then it grows into something really special and unique for each friendship. So many of the people who started in our program as strangers have become more like family, celebrating birthdays and holidays.
I think it's one of those beautiful little things in our community that people don't really know about.
We get together a couple times a month.
I'm very busy, I still work, but I do what I can. And I think that's what's important about it, is that we do what we can, like any friendship. And so it's not like this major commitment. You make it work for yourself and for your friend. The main thing is that we enjoy time together and we're friends, and that's what matters.
It makes me feel joyful just to get to experience a greater sense of community here.
If you are kind and you want to make a new friendship, there's not a better friendship than you can make in this program. You can make a difference to someone else, but they can also make a difference to you.
I'm happy you're my friend.
I'm happy you're my friend too.
I think it's a really great opportunity to expand your definition of friendship. If you have time and the willingness to just get to know somebody, it can just be really rewarding.
The Better Together program is looking for more volunteers, male, female, of any age, to be friends.
I really encourage people that just have a little bit of time and a lot of love to give. And we could really use it. This program is amazing and you will not be disappointed.
We're better together.
Thanks.
And then our contact information is listed there. We'd be happy to chat with any of you if you have members in mind, or if you'd like to learn more about our programs. And then next slide, please. We'll direct you to our website and the actual links to each program. And then the Connect Effect is our most recent startup of a coalition around the social isolation and loneliness ARPA grant that we received. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna and Sammy, for sharing. And I just want to second what Sammy said about Anna, give another shout out. Anna was in our Social Connection Awareness Week Planning Committee and was great with that. So thank you both for sharing the different programs and what you both do. I'll open it up to any questions for a few minutes. See a couple comments in the chat. Love the gifts of slide, and then some thanks to both of you again. Helen, go ahead.
Well, first I have to find the unmute button. It always escapes me. Thanks so much, ladies. I'm so glad to be walking with you in this ARPA grant world and watching all of the gifts that ODC has to offer. I guess my question is about engaging the friends and what has worked and what has not worked.
Do you mean the volunteers?
Yeah, but you told me you don't call them volunteers.
I know, it's so tricky. I think the hardest part is framing it, just like we joked right now, like not calling it volunteering. How do we convince people that it's worth your time? And it's going to be 2025 really soon. And the thing that works the most is word of mouth, right? It's still the same thing. So the people who are in the program are telling people about it, and that's how more people know. Also, it's speaking to places, going out and presenting to groups and to talking wherever you go. Like and the woman that I sit next to, she's part of the Elks, and she helped us get sponsored and hosted for one of our monthly activities. So it's weaving how we talk about it into our everyday life so that it's a part of community. We are going to work with Thousand Lumens in 2025, a marketing company who will really help us share the word via social media to spark those people that we don't touch in person, and really work on reframing how we talk about the program, not using the word volunteer, and highlighting how friendship changes your life and what's the best part of it. And the best part of it is never something grand. It's always the day-to-day stuff, right? Like just calling to see how you're doing and watching a movie together or cooking lasagna. It's that kind of stuff that we want to show that's real life and applicable to everyone.
That's so great. I have a follow-up if it's okay. So what comes up for me is when you find the friend, how, it's actually a two-part question because I think there are lots of friends out there who maybe have fears and some stigmas and things that if we could help them get through it, and demonstrate that perhaps they are not grounded in reality. So how are you addressing that? And then two, once you find the friends, how do you onboard them so they stay? Because I could see leaving being especially difficult.
Yeah, I'll start with the first part. When you talk about maybe like the stigmas of being a friend to somebody with a disability, we did the 5 whys, right? Like we dug down, like why do people maybe not join this program? And it's basically not knowing, right? When we come down to it, it's like we don't know, we don't understand. So painting a vision of what this is, how this inclusive friendship is really still just friendship, no matter what the disability is. And then how do we onboard people and make them stay? That first friends meeting is so important, to be together with the friend with a disability and then the friend who's the volunteer. And if there is a parent or a guardian or support person who wants to come along and help advocate and answer questions that might be difficult, like what do we do for an emergency? And they talk about any barriers the person might have during that first friends meeting. So you don't leave being like, I don't really understand this person, right? We talk about very specific things about each individual during that first meeting, but not in a way we talk about them, we talk with them, and they share from their perspective too, like this is what I need, this is what I don't want to do. And then I'm really bummed, Helen, when I leave the first friends meeting, I always offer to go with them on their first get together, just the two of them. And they never take me up on it because they leave, they're so comfortable with one another. And that's the goal, right? To work yourself out of the friendship because it's not about me, it's about them. And so to keep in touch during the first 3 months, I make phone calls or email or text if the people prefer to make sure that things are going well. And then every month they're invited to the group outing. I know about this program because I was in it when I was 20. And when I was matched with my friend, there wasn't the option of group things. So it was just the two of us. And it felt really lonely to be doing this inclusive friendship thing on our own, especially being a poor college student on top of it. So the group monthly things have really brought people together and given them a broader sense of community. And some people don't really enjoy group things, and that's okay. And they're comfortable just doing their one-on-one things and don't want to do the group things. And that's why the program fits so many different types of people.
Another comment in the chat about weaving this into our everyday community, and that's kind of what stuck out to me too with both the programs is the integration into the community. it's not that they're going to a center, and just staying at a center, but going to church or going out to hikes in the community, different things like that, which is awesome. So that's what it's all about, is the community. Any other questions for Sammy or Anna at all? Okay. Well, thank you both again for sharing about the programs.
Thank you, Suzanne.
We are going to switch gears just a little bit here and go into some coalition updates. So just wanted to share very briefly that we do have an opportunity for you to share your program. So similar to what was just presented by Anna and Sammy, if you have something that you're doing, you can always feel free to reach out if you want to present on a meeting like this. But in a little bit more streamlined way, you can always submit your projects on our website. So I'm going to go very quickly to our website and show you where that is. But it's at connectbui.org. And then under the For Professionals Connection Resources page. So on this page, we have, some different resources here at the top. We have the Commit to Connect, the National Social Engagement Innovations Hub. But then down here at the bottom, we really want to highlight local Wisconsin examples. So programs, policies, practices, different projects, and things that are happening here in Wisconsin. So you'll see we have a few here on the website. You'll click this link, the Submit Your Project to be Featured Here button. And then we just ask you a couple of questions in a survey on, the overview of the activity or the project, and then the major activities, and you can add in any links as well. So if you do want to feature some of the great work that you're doing, we really encourage you to submit your project so that you can share that with everyone. Going to move now into a year-end review. So it was a very busy year in 2024. So I wanted to share some of the highlights and successes of everything that happened with Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. So some highlights here. We changed our name very early this year. So previously, if you were part of the coalition before, you know that we were called the Wisconsin Coalition to End Social Isolation and Loneliness, or WESL, which is a mouthful to say and type all the time. So not that that's the reason that we changed the name, but we are now obviously called the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. And then a logo was developed and branding as well after that change. So we wanted to, focus on that positive, that connection piece, knowing that the end goal still is to end social isolation and loneliness, but what can we do to promote social connectedness and belonging? We did hold bi-monthly network meetings, which I'll share more about in the next slide. Our new website, which I just shared briefly about, was launched in May of this year. So we have resources for older adults and people with disabilities on there, but then also a whole section for our professional partners to find resources for connection, find data and research, learn more about the coalition, get involved, and all of those sorts of things are on our website as well. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, really encourage you to do that. We also began the Policy Champions Committee, grew our network from 300 plus to 600 plus, so basically doubled it in the past year. So lots of awareness from all of the different things that were done over the last year, and that word of mouth, people sharing about what the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection is doing. We've gotten some, national promotion as well. So really successful this year in growing our network. And then we also, as a coalition, helped 2 organizations successfully apply for the DHS ARPA grant that many people on the call are even working on now. So just wanted to briefly overview our 2024 network meetings. So in February, we had talked about abuse in older adults, and then therapy animals with a couple of organizations. In April, we had a presentation from the Nationwide Network of Champions and the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities about peer mentoring. In June, we had a presentation about arts-based virtual programming for people with dementia. and the ADRC Senior Prom in Portage County, and that's when we launched our website to the network. In August, we were talking about screening, and Brown County had shared their use of the UCLA 3-item loneliness scale, and we had some discussion. In October, we had a few presentations from some different organizations talking about events and different things that are happening. So Milk shared about adaptive ice skating. Two Dogs Coffee shared about what they're doing in community connections in rural Adams County. And then the ADRC of Waukesha County shared about their new coalition that they were developing. And then, of course, they shared the Awareness Week resources that were for November. And here we are, somehow already in December of 2024. Wanted to share some highlights from our website so you can see our total page views and users. Again, the website was launched in May of 2024. So you can see that large spike there when we first launched, and then another little spike in November time during our Social Connection Awareness Week. We did a lot of presentations this year as well. So listed on the screen are some of those. Wanted to highlight a few of those. Age Plus Action, that's a national conference that we had a poster presentation at, presented on a national webinar for the Elder Care Workforce Alliance, locally at the Aging and Disability Independent Living Network Conference and Wisconsin Public Health Association, and then a number of really localized presentations about social isolation and loneliness, the impact of that for older adults and people with disabilities, and then spreading of awareness of the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. We also had some reach on Facebook. So we did previously have a Facebook page before this year, but we grew our following to 156 followers. So if you haven't followed us on Facebook, do that now. Pull out your phone, facebook.com/connectwi. We promoted some social media posts throughout the year, and then during Social Connection Awareness Week as well. We also did a lot of work this year connecting with national resources. So Commit to Connect's nationwide network of champions, which we invited them to present at one of our network meetings earlier this year. And we developed our own Wisconsin community on the nationwide network of champions, which we have talked about pretty frequently this year as well. We also have connected with Healthy Places by Design, which is another national organization that does this sort of work as well. And then also the Foundation for Social Connection. So Foundation for Social Connection leads the National Coalition to End Social Isolation and Loneliness. They presented during our Social Connection Awareness Week. And they are also looking to highlight our coalition in a chapter that they're contributing to the Research Handbook on Loneliness and Social Connection, which is going to be edited by experts from the University of Bath, the University of West Attica, and the British Red Cross, and is going to showcase innovative practices and policies addressing loneliness and fostering social connection on both global and national levels. So there's going to be a whole chapter from the Foundation for Social Connection, and they'll share a broad overview of the efforts in the United States, highlighting the work that the Wisconsin Coalition is doing among other national, community, and individual levels. So we have, received some acknowledgement from what we are doing here in Wisconsin from our national partners, which is really great to see as well, since we have been so busy. We're also listed on the Social Connection Communities of Practice Network map, which is led by the Foundation for Social Connection. So people throughout the United States can see the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection and all of the work that we're doing. I briefly mentioned this previously, but we also did develop the Policy Champions Committee this year. So the first meeting for that was held in October of this year, and I think there's been a couple other meetings already so far. And again, the purpose of the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connections Policy Champions Committee is to make timely decisions on supporting policy initiatives that increase social connections for older adults and people with disabilities in Wisconsin and nationwide. So really excited to see what comes out of this committee in 2025. And of course, more recently, we held our Social Connection Awareness Week Summit. So going to talk a little bit about some of the highlights from the summit. We had a whole slate of speakers during the week, held 5 webinars Monday through Friday of Social Connection Awareness Week on different topics related to accessible recreation, coalitions and community building, technology, and a couple other things as well were shared during that week. We received a governor's proclamation for Social Connection Awareness Week. We had a whole social media campaign with graphics and suggested text for social media, newsletter, article, and press release and letter to the editor for everyone to share. And then we also really highlighted the the 5 for 5 connection challenge from the Surgeon General. So encouraging people to make those intentional efforts to connect with loved ones and community members throughout that week. All the other things that were shared during Social Connection Awareness Week were from the Wisconsin State Journal, published our letter to the editor. And then one of our coalition members, Jill Rankin, executive director of the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging, was on Wisconsin Public Radio talking about loneliness in later life and the efforts of the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. I just wanted to share some of the highlights from the Awareness Week as well. So you can see on the right-hand side, the number of people that attended each of the webinars and how many people registered. And then we had a couple evaluation questions at the end of those days and what people answered there. But I thought the quotes from the evaluation were pretty impactful. So I wanted to share just a few of those. I'm not going to read out all of them, but one person said that they were very moved by the intersectionality of the LGBTQ community members and the veterans and older adults from our panel on Monday during the week. A couple of comments stated about how it was so important to involve the community that you're working with and for, so that they have adaptations for programs that they actually want to see. Again, on the same line, I was reminded to continue to be more inclusive and reframing my own attitudes toward aging in a positive way. So thank you to everyone that, again, helped to plan for that Social Connection Awareness Week and the Awareness Ad Hoc Committee with the coalition. Thank you to everyone that shared the resources and shared about the webinars. We're excited to kind of see where our growth moves in 2025. Also, just wanted to take a little bit of time here to thank our coalition and committee members for their support and commitment to reducing social isolation and loneliness. Everyone in our network for joining in the effort. We couldn't do it without everyone's support. I think everyone should just, pat yourself on the back for all the great work that you've done spreading awareness about the issue of social isolation and loneliness for older adults and people with disabilities. And we're really excited to keep moving forward in 2025 and stay tuned within the next month or two for some 2025 coalition updates and direction moving forward. I wanted to now take some time for discussions. We have a little bit of time left, and I am going to attempt, we'll see how it goes, but I'm going to attempt to use some technology to do some large group discussion. And I'm going to share a whiteboard that we can all contribute to. So to do that, what you see on the screen here is there will be this arrow pointing to this T here. And then once you click on the T, a text box will pop up and you should be able to contribute in real time to this whiteboard. So let me attempt to set that up now. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it all works well. And if you don't have access to the whiteboard or you prefer to put your feedback in the chat, that is more than welcome as well. Give me just a second while I log into it. Worked during Social Connection Awareness Week, so let's hope it works now. And of course, it's looking a little different than it usually does. So here we go. Okay, let me know if you cannot see this. I mean, maybe a thumbs up if you can. Okay, I see some people on the screen. So the next test is, can you click on the text and actually type?
Suzanne, I'm having a connection error. That might just be me. It says unable to load this whiteboard.
Hmm.
Oh,
Anyone
I'm
else?
having the same thing. Mine has a connection error as well.
Hmm.
I don't know if other people have it.
I'm seeing some
Helen, it
people.
might be a DHS thing. Otherwise,
Mine's working.
I'm seeing some people type.
Mine's
Yeah, I
not.
think
I don't know how
can
to do
type
that.
too.
I
Feel
wonder
free
if you have
if
to log off
you,
with VPN.
yeah, if you aren't able to, drop your comments in the chat. So the first question is, what are some things that you learned this year? Yeah, maybe it is a DHS thing. I'm seeing another one in the chat. So I'm seeing some on the screen already. Connection is key. Patience, I don't have enough just yet, but I'm learning. I'm right there with you. The huge variety of opportunities that exist for social connection, the importance and value of meaningful connections and belonging. Back to the basics, conversation is a great strategy to connect. Definitely see in the chat lots of resources. Will limit isolation. People are starved for connection. It's all about the relationships, not just the doing. If you are doing, but not connecting, it's not the same. How many wonderful partners are sharing in this important work? Definitely. The abundance of networks statewide addressing the need for social connection and belonging. Incorporating connection into everything that we do. Yes, definitely. The joy it connects us to humanity. Yeah, we really are wired to connect. Another comment in the chat, Wisconsin has some amazingly creative professionals who have embraced this effort. Definitely agree with that. I'll leave this open maybe 10 more seconds or so before I move to the next question. And hopefully that isn't too difficult to do. Oh, and I see one more on here. I appreciated learning more about the recreation opportunities for people during the social isolation week. And we can all make an impact on our own and as communities. Definitely. Okay, I have two more questions wanted to share. So the next question is, what did you accomplish this year? I'd love everyone to pat themselves on the back and share some successes and highlights from your own coalitions or organizations related to this topic. And again, feel free to do that in the chat or on the screen if you have access to it. See those coming in now. Give some people some time. I see new local businesses and organizations to support monthly events as hosts and sponsors. Met new people. We collectively increased conversations around this topic. Increased awareness, re-engaged an employee team focused on connection and wellness. Connected many dots in pursuit of learning about and supporting connection work. More matched friends in expanded areas. Increased awareness of the needs in this area among my friends and coworkers. Yep, feel free to move your stuff around somewhere where it might fit. Some different shapes and things in here too. The BPDD has been working on peer mentoring, which is providing individuals with connections with others and be sure that individuals can work on the goals they identify. Many goals are related to being out in the community. Made lots of new connections and provided presentations on ways people and organizations can help others to get connected. Let's see, setting social connection with grocery delivery into our aging plan. Awesome. Helps getting a governor's proclamation to acknowledge social connection awareness. Yes, thank you so much for that, Tim. Events and program guidelines were developed to make sure we are inclusive and sustainable. Coordinated meetings of the coalition's policy champions and began making recommendations regarding specific policy. I'm gonna highlight Janet Zander from GWAR for doing that. Thank you, Janet. Certified 10 new therapy dog teams. Awesome. Gonna leave this open for a couple more seconds here to continue celebrating all of the things that we accomplished this year. I believe I read everything else so far that was shared. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to one more question for our discussion today. So moving into goal setting for 2025. So related to social connection, reducing social isolation and loneliness for older adults and people with disabilities. What are your goals for next year? Big, small, any goals that you have around this topic? Again, feel free to drop on the screen or in the chat or even come off mute if you'd like. We continue to provide support all around, connecting people who live in residential facilities to their community. Find more creative ways to reach and make connections within underserved populations. So important. Some agreement with reaching underserved populations. That the Arbor grantees keep up the good work in some way, shape, or form and use all of the learning to help others. Bring more awareness around our programs and the impact of social connectedness overall. Integrate or enhance an initiative focused on our patient population. Few more people typing on the screen, so leave this open maybe for another minute or so. Share resources and find new ways to increase social connections in my community. Awesome. Offer advocacy support for coalition partners via the Policy Champions Committee, advocacy days, budget priorities, etc. Important that funders understand the importance and long-term effects of social connection and isolation and its impact on mental health. Yes, definitely. Work on a pathway for billing Medicaid for peer mentoring in our long-term care system. We participate in steering committee to improve family caregiver supports in Wisconsin. Awesome. Well, I just want to take a minute to acknowledge all of the work that everyone has done in the past year and the ways in which, you've raised awareness within your organization and your own communities on this important topic. And really encourage you to keep moving forward in 2025, which I'm sure all of you will. That wasn't too painful, hopefully with the whiteboard, and I know that some of you weren't able to see that, but I am going to close that now, hopefully. There we go. And close us out for the day and for the year. So again, thank you all for joining today for the last Social Connection Awareness Week network meeting of 2024. You'll see some links on the screen, which I've shared previously. So again, join the nationwide network of champions and connect with people throughout the nation related to this topic. Visit our website and our social media on Facebook. And I just wanted to put in a reminder to register for 2025 network meetings. The link and QR code is on the screen there to register. And then if you do register, you'll receive an email with a Zoom link, and you can download a calendar invite and save all of the meetings for 2025 to your calendar. And the next meeting will be February 18th, the third Tuesday of every other month, starting in February. So again, thank you all. Hope everyone has a happy holiday season, and looking forward to seeing everything that's accomplished next year. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for leading the coalition, Suzanne. You did great work too.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Have a great holiday.